the PKR candidate for Pandan,
Right.
Rafizi commented saying that if at all you are nominated as the candidate, it shows UMNO's supremacy over MCA. That basically saying that UMNO decides who MCA candidates are. Can you comment on that?
Well, of course. I can only comment based on logics, yeah, or rather the common practices within any coalition, including BN or even Pakatan, that has yet to register as a single entity. Well, as far as candidature is concerned, I think any coalition, including BN, since its inception in the 70s, early 70s until now, I think the candidates list has always been subject to the final approval by the BN chairman. And who's the BN chairman? Over the years, of course, we all know that the UMNO president has always been the BN chairman. And this is not something new, but rather something traditional. And likewise, by the same token, we can also argue very clearly that in the case of Hisyam, for instance, Hisyam's candidature was announced by Anwar, notwithstanding the fact that Pakatan Rakyat has yet to register, or perhaps has yet to be granted the green light to register as a single entity for whatever reasons. But the fact remains that in their coalition, of course. Now, when by the same token, since Hisyam's candidature for Gelang Patah now was announced by Anwar, would we conclude that now Hisyam being a seasoned old-timer, all of a sudden he also becomes so-called a pawn of Anwar? If at all that were to hold water, if Mr. Rafizi Ramli's argument were to hold water, then that is applicable to such cases as well. See that?
Can you comment with regards to Dr. Chua's style of politics, where he has been in the limelight, hammering past hudud, Islamic State?
Well, I think, I think certainly if I have the choice, I wouldn't want to comment on any single individual, more so on this man. Because after all, to me, sorry to say that, well, we should have bigger issues on our radar screen. We should have bigger issues and bigger things, bigger picture to talk about or to deep dive into, rather than we just talk about his politics, or rather his brand of politics. Because I don't think that his brand of politics warrant my comment. We have better things to do. In short,
what would you have done if you were still an MCA president?
Well, in fact, the unfinished job, of course, are numerous. But no point, if I were to answer you this question, of course, I mean, I do have my answers. But if I were to enumerate that, then people say that, hey, sour grape or whatever. Because I know what kind of what kind of answers, what kind of so-called statements would be prepared by the spin doctors. Nowadays, in our partisan politics, we have too many spin doctors. And sometimes all these spin doctors, in fact, they may call themselves cyber troopers or whatnot. I mean, to me, they are just simply the hired hitmen. And I don't think that anybody in his right frame of mind now would ever want to waste time unnecessarily just to engage all this tick for tack kind of verbal spat. That I would say is a verbal spat, but no point.
Dato', I just want to reflect from the grassroots in Pandan, their views is that your services, community service are quite strong, and Rafizi have just started in, and but he is good in national issues. That means that, in other words, that people will support him in, for his check and balances in Parliament. While else you have a very strong service-oriented network, but will you be able to match up your voice in Parliament?
Well, in fact, the comparison, of course, that depends on how we view it. In what perspective are we talking about? Now, because on one hand, of course, people certain people tend to compare my constituency service or service-oriented politics with the so-called the issues at macro level that Mr. Rafizi Ramli chose to highlight. Of course, that is their choice. But one thing for sure, I must reiterate, not that I'm still boastful of some of the past deeds that I had committed. But don't ever forget that when I was in the chair, when I was the minister, or even prior to that, when I was the deputy minister. Now just look at my track record. Have I ever ignored macro issues? Never. Answer is never. And when we talk about the so-called the protracted PKFZ issue, the Port Klang free zone issue, don't you think that is a macro issue? And until today, of course, I couldn't harp on it, not because that I lost my cabinet post, but because it might be deemed sub judice, because the proceeding, the libel suit and the legal proceeding is still on. So I couldn't talk much about that, despite the fact that I might have this or that restrictive inhibitions. But so far in the past 3 years, as a backbencher myself, I think I had never forgotten my role to pursue on the matter by raising parliamentary questions related to the issue. But of course, whether or not I could get the desired answers or not, that is a separate matter.